Comair Flight 3597, the Lexington Tragedy. Flight Overview. On the foggy morning of August 27, 2006, Comair Flight 3597, a Bombardier CRJ-100 regional jet, registration N431CA, prepared for a routine flight from Lexington Bluegrass Airport, LX, to Caire Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, ATL. The aircraft, carrying 147 passengers and 3 crew members now, was scheduled for a short 55-minute hop. However, in the pre-dawn darkness, a catastrophic chain of errors led the pilots to attempt takeoff from the Zug runway, an unlit, too-short general aviation strip, runway 26, instead of the proper commercial runway, runway 22. The jet overran the runway, crashed through a perimeter fence, and burst into flames in nearby farmland. Only the first officer survived. From the 50 souls aboard, making this one of the deadliest aviation accidents in Kentucky history and a watershed moment for runway safety procedures. C. Aircraft specifications and crew background. The Canadair regional jet, CRJ-100ER, manufactured in 1993, was a 50-seat regional jet, powered by 2 General Electric CF34-3A1 turbofan engines. With 24,000 flight hours, it was a workhorse of Comair's fleet. The cockpit was manned by Captain Jeffrey Clay, 35. Yeah. Check. A 5,000-hour pilot with strong performance records, and B. First Officer James Polhinke, 44, who had 7,000 hours, but carried a history of training difficulties. Investigators later learned Polhinke had failed multiple check rides and struggled with situational awareness, a critical factor in the accident. The sole flight attendant, Kelly Heyer, had just transferred to the route and was unfamiliar with the Lexington Airport layout, weather conditions and pre-flight confusion. The accident occurred under Piaget's patchy fog, with years 1.4-mile visibility requiring instrument flight rules. Runway 22, the intended 7,003-foot runway, was closed for construction, forcing Air Traffic Control, ATC, to use the parallel runway 26, 3,500 feet. The lone controller on duty, drained from working multiple positions, mistakenly believed he'd properly briefed the crew. Meanwhile, the pilots, distracted by an unrelated discussion about scheduling, misinterpreted taxi instructions. Neither noticed they'd lined up on the NDU. Wrong runway. Despite multiple visual cues, missing centerline lights, different runway markings, and the absence of commercial runway infrastructure. The cockpit voice recorder later revealed, no verbal cross-verification self-eokes of their position. Takeoff attempt and catastrophic overrun. At your 6-6 aim at. The CRJ-100 began its takeoff roll on the 1,000-foot shorter runway. As the jet accelerated, Captain Clay suddenly realized their error, shouting, "Wrong runway!" Just seconds before reaching V1, takeoff decision speed. First Officer Polhinke, the flying pilot, pulled back sharply, but the aircraft couldn't achieve rotation speed in time. The jet overshot the runway end at 137 knots, shearing through an airport fence and a stand of trees before slamming into rising terrain. The fuel tanks ruptured, creating an instant fireball that consumed most of the fuselage. Rescuers arriving within minutes found only Polhinke alive in the wreckage, severely injured but protected by his forward-facing seat position. while all others perished from impact forces or smoke inhalation. Investigation findings. NTSB report. The Sichuan National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, identified 6 critical failures. Dendes 1. Crew resource management breakdown. No challenge, chair, response verification of runway. 2. ATC staffing shortage. Single controller handling ground tower duties. 3. Airport design flaws. Poor lighting signage at taxiway intersections. 4. FAA oversight gaps. Allowed construction without proper safety mitigations. 5. Pilot fatigue factors. Both crew members had early morning circadian lows. 6. Corporate pressure. Comair's aggressive scheduling may have fostered haste. Black box analysis showed the pilots had just 17 seconds between recognizing their error and impact, insufficient time to abort safely. The NTSB noted this was the 7th wrong runway incident aboard at US airports in 2006 alone. Pages 16-18. Survival factors and emergency response. The sole survivor's position proved fateful. First officer's seat. Facing forward with reinforced bulkhead protection. Wreckage trajectory. Cockpit section tore away from fire-engulfed cabin. Quick rescue. Farmers heard the explosion and called 911 within 90 seconds. Firefighters faced jet fuel-fed flames, exceeding 1,000 degrees, preventing cabin access. Autopsies revealed most victims died instantly from traumatic deceleration injuries, though some rear passengers showed carbon monoxide poisoning. From smoke inhalation, the crash's violence was such that huge induction. Only 25% of the aircraft remained identifiable. Pages 19-20. Aviation Safety Legacy. Flight 3597's tragedy spurred 20+ major safety reforms. D. Mandatory runway verification checklists. N. Minimum 2 controller staffing during peak hours. Enhanced runway lighting. Signage standards. FAA. Runway Safety Blitz. Inspections. CRJ cockpit redesigns. For better visibility. The accident remains a cornerstone case for crew resource management training, with its cockpit audio used globally to demonstrate the cost of complacency. Lexington Airport completely reconfigured its taxiways, while Comair, which ceased operations in 2012, paid 16.2 million in settlements. Memorials at the crash site and Atlanta headquarters ensure the victim's legacy endures in aviation's ongoing pursuit of zero accidents.